So to start tonight, Socorro ISD voters will decide on Proposition A, which the district says would provide $49 million for upgrades to aging systems and student laptops, all without raising the overall tax rate. Now, that proposal shifts money from debt service to daily school operations, all while keeping the total tax rate at about $1.05 per $100 of property value. Here's a look at the potential tax impact for an average home worth about $233,000. So right here, if Proposition A passes along with the state's homestead exemption, the average homeowner could see the school portion of their tax bill drop by about $345 a year. However, if the proposition is rejected, the same homeowner could save slightly more at about $455 a year, but the district itself would see a drop in revenue if homeowners depends on the statewide homestead exemption, while the district would use this revenue to fund salaries, facilities, and other priorities. And other results here we're getting in live to the hour now. I think that proposition is basically tied. Against is just ahead with roughly 30 plus votes ahead of for. Very tight. We talked to some pretty nervous SISD officials earlier. We're going to hear actually shortly from Julia Spencer, where she is live at the Socorro School District's watch party in Far East El Paso. So Julia, first of all, who did you talk to? It could not be closer. It's essentially tied. What's going on there?
That's right, Harrison. Well, it's a lot of anxiety in this room. Again, district officials and supporters of Proposition A have been waiting patiently all night for these results to come in and update. And we've been tracking these early results throughout the night. Again, we did speak to some of the voters earlier today. Some again for Proposition A, whereas some are against. Go ahead and take a listen at
district will be able to use the money. In part, they're going to increase their fund balance. It's desperately low right now.
We're already spending money on other things, and we have a lot of taxes. We're paying a lot of taxes right now, so we don't want any more taxes taking out of our paycheck.
Now, Harrison, as you mentioned, those early results earlier, it is a bit of a flip-flop. We saw the first round of early results come in around 7 p.m. It was a 77-vote margin. That's a very close call. Again, 2 hours later, at 9 o'clock, we saw an update to those early results, and now it became a 34-vote margin. At 7, it leaned one way. It was now saying they are against. But again, too close to call. We did speak to Superintendent James Vasquez earlier about these early results. This is what he had to say.
It's extremely close, a little closer than I would like at this point. If it does go our way, it's going to really change the course of the really, I mean, not to overstate it, but the future of our district.
Well, Julia, as you were just saying there, as he was saying, this pretty high stakes for SISD tonight with this election. It also seems like the results are so close. What's next? Are these guys going to be staying here throughout the night watching results? When will we know for sure whether it passed or didn't?
Well, I'm not too sure when those final results will come in, but tomorrow morning we should know for sure. We will continue our coverage with this election as well as this proposition, and we will follow up with the district about what happens next once we do find out what voters decide for Proposition A. This night is ending here soon. Again, a lot of supporters have been waiting and showing their support for the school district, but we will, of course, wait and see.
Well, Julia, I know you've been out there for several hours. Thank you so much for covering this for us. Enjoyed the report here, and I'll certainly be checking in with you shortly on this election. We hear it constantly. My taxes are too high. My home is valued way more than it should be. But two statewide propositions on El Paso ballots aim to ease property tax burdens for homeowners. Propositions 11 and Proposition 13 are designed to bump up the amount of home value that's exempt from school property taxes. In layman's terms, reducing what many of us here in El Paso owe on our property tax bills. So Prop 11 increases the homestead exemption for seniors and people with disabilities from $10,000 to $60,000 on school property taxes. Now, the results there are pretty dramatic. For 80%, nearly 1.5 million Texans voted for this. Just under 400,000 voted against this. So even though only 45% reporting, you can be pretty confident that this will end up passing. One for homeowners. It applies to all homeowners, and it raises the general homestead exemption on school property taxes from $100,000 to $140,000. Now the results in this race have been even more definite. Well over 1,530,000 people, 82% of people with 45% reporting for. Also, some major relief. That tax relief, that
economy right now. You know, we're job market is not that good either. You know, so we're experiencing a lot of stresses when it comes to things like groceries or bills. You know, we were just having a conversation with my son. We're living paycheck to paycheck right now, so that's frustrating. And on top of that, you know, to have our taxes go up, I think these propositions are good. I'm glad that we're getting to vote on them.
Well, as we report, these results are still coming in, but we'll certainly keep you updated on all of them, both here on air and at our website, cbs4local.com. And bail reform also on the ballot tonight here in Texas. Voters will decide whether judges can deny bail to people accused of certain violent felonies. Those include murder, aggravated assault, and crimes involving children. Right now, that is well over 60%, 1.3 million for, little under 750,000 people against. Again, 55% reporting for Proposition 3 does look very, very likely to pass. So voters will also end up deciding whether Texas should spend $20 water projects. That includes fixing aging pipes and developing new water sources. If approved, that's $1 billion in tax revenue added to the Texas Water Fund each year starting in 2027. We should have our results for that up shortly. If not, it does not look like we have them available right now. At last we checked, those results were still quite close. But if this measure passes, lawmakers would finally be allowed to offer property tax breaks on homes to the unmarried spouses of U.S. veterans whose death the federal government has determined were service related. Right now, at 55% reporting, nearly 90%, 87% of people on Proposition 7 voting for. Again, since that's 55% in, you can almost certainly guarantee that is going to be officially passed and approved by the voters. Well, turning to New Mexico now, as Las Cruces schools are asking voters to weigh in on two funding measures tonight. The district says that money would go towards upgrades and improvements across its campuses. Melissa Herrera is live in Las Cruces now. Melissa, tell us a little bit about what's on the line here.
Well, Las Cruces Public Schools is looking at two different ways to gain some extra money to fund some key projects and just some improvements across the district. That includes renovations to Mayfield High School and just other major changes like improvements to facilities for female athletes. So this includes a $65 million general obligation bond that right now is passing with flying colors. And so far, 73% of voters have voted in support of the measure and 27% have voted against it so far. So for more context on that individual item, that bond is very similar to a loan. It's money that the district will take out to pay for projects across the district, and that, like I mentioned earlier, was for major renovations like Mayfield High School and other things. And that bond will then be repaid through general taxes over time. The other item that we're looking at that the district is looking to be approved is seeing if it will continue, if residents will continue to pay the same property tax for the next few years. So that is an extra revenue for the district. And so far, 67% of voters are in favor of continuing the current property tax, and
33% are against it. Voters are choosing whether to keep that current mill levy tax, and it's currently set at $3 per every $1,000 of taxable property. And if this is ultimately approved by voters, homeowners will continue paying that current rate until the 2031 tax year. And people I spoke to tell me that when they invest in education, it's worth every dollar.
Our money should go towards helping them because we're at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to education here in New Mexico.
I have two stepkids. They are 8 and 9. They go to Alameda Elementary, and I really want to see the elementary schools and their future schools to be improved.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much for your reporting on this. Just before we go, I want to ask, obviously that poll wasn't 100% in favor. What were the people that were against this, either on camera or off camera, telling you about why they didn't want this to pass, if you met any today?
Right, well, when I was at the voting site, I was at the City of Las Cruces City Hall. Majority of the people I spoke to, both on camera and off camera, all voiced a strong support for these measures, saying that they're already going to pay that same amount of taxes, so they might as well keep that up. In fact, I only spoke to one person off camera who told me that he didn't vote for it, and when I wanted to ask him why, he said that he was not interested. So definitely, just from my experience alone, a strong majority voted in support of that measure.
Melissa, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting here. Well, voters in Doña Ana County are also weighing the chance for $105 million in bond proposals tonight. So the first bond would pour money into upgrades for parks, outdoor spaces, and wastewater systems across the county. And right now, about 70% of voters are saying yes. I believe that's this one right here, 72%. To that particular question. And another bond that would be $35 million would help improve the county fairgrounds and fix access along High Mesa Road. Now, since these are general obligation bonds, property taxes would go up to pay for them if voters approve it. And at the moment, around 58% support the measure. Well, in the meantime, the Gadsden Independent School District also has its own bond on the ballot. That's $75 million aimed at renovating campuses district-wide. And right now, as you can see, about 70%, last time we spoke was 77%. Now it's up to 80% of people that back that general obligation bond. This will also decide today on a constitutional amendment regarding parental rights right here in Texas. And if approved, it would affirm that parents have the, quote, fundamental right and responsibility to make decisions for their children, including matters of care, custody, and upbringing. You can see as of now, we have our results in. That's well over 1.4 million people. That's 72% voted against the measure. Proposition 15 with 55% reporting. You guys are reading this as I am. That is an overwhelming rejection of the proposition. Now, Proposition 16 would amend the Texas Constitution to make it explicit that only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in the state. As of now, the results that we have in for 75% and against 25%. I think 55% reporting over 1.5 million Texans voting for Proposition 16, so it should sail through. In the meantime, voters will also decide on a proposal that would let Texas prevent property values from rising in border counties because of border security, infrastructure, as well as other related improvements. The results for Proposition 17, 61% for. Not as overwhelming as the last two we just covered, but still a pretty fair endorsement of this proposal that will limit it. So that's 61% for and 39% against.